He's going to do well to stay private.
Are you excited about any other publicly owned companies right now? Like things more on the TradFi side?
To be honest, I've been so focused on crypto and building the company in the last 2 years. I've been very, very narrow-minded in the sense like I don't even hold any stocks.
Yeah.
Right? But if I was going to buy anything, right, like it'd still be Nvidia, it'll still be Meta, because I think you're always going to have to advertise. You're always going to need an element, probably less Google, because I think search is going to change fundamentally. I think the ability to monetize from searches, that's going to die down because agents are going to do most of it for you. I would invest in anyone that's trying to get into agentic payments, where they'll get you all the information, but get you to execute at the same time and charge a fee. That is where Stripe needs to be, because I think that's where the money is. But unfortunately, they don't own the surface that asks the questions, that builds intel for you.
Right.
Like Stripe needs to own like an OpenAI, it needs to own like an Anthropic, it needs one of those.
Right.
And I think those are the places to buy. I think the valuations will be through the roof for those companies. The OpenAI, the Anthropics, those people are going to make a ton of money.
Are you doing any investments like on that AI side right now?
Interestingly, for Walrus, more than 60% of our projects are building on AI in Walrus. I'm using Walrus for that. We've invested in a few AI companies at Mistin and at Foundation as well.
Okay, like TradFi related?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of like robotics or?
Robotics, but also like contextual wallets that can act on your behalf. Yeah, that's where I think the money is going.
Okay. What are your thoughts on AI in general?
I think there's a lot of hype, but I think also there's a lot of promise.
Yeah.
But I don't think AI is interesting when it just gives you information. AI is going to be infinitely more valuable once it can do what you want it to do, right? Don't just tell me that the cheapest car is $45,000 from this dealership. Go and negotiate the fee for me and get it down, make my payments, do all that for me. When it becomes an agent means someone acting on your behalf, that's when it becomes really valuable.
How far you think we are from agents happening?
So I think for agents to happen, the internet that operates today doesn't work. You need actual final systems like blockchains. So that's where I think AI and crypto works really, really well. You need to confine what your agent can do. You need to make sure your agent can only spend a certain amount of money. And you can only do that with a trusted platform. And blockchain's the way to do that. So I think that world is where we're going towards. And I think Sui's got a good chance of helping that space. Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest gap right now that stops the next revolution or like the tipping point?
Well, in the sense of what? You mean in terms of agent adoption? What do you mean?
Yeah, in terms of adoption.
For crypto?
Just in general of the market. I mean, even crypto, I see its use case in there, but I'm curious more on if you think it's a hardware issue or if it's just...
I don't think hardware is a problem. I think software is always going to be that barrier. In a world where agents can do on your behalf, we're going to need a ridiculous amount of hardware, and I think we can always solve that problem. What DeepSeek showed us, right, is you can optimize the heck out of the models directly and require less hardware. It's always going to be software optimizations, I think, that win over. In fact, I also think that the IP is less likely going to be the models. It's really going to be the applications you build on top of it. You see that now with OpenAI becoming more integrated. They're now getting into the aspect of building apps. They just hired Fujitsumo, who was head of the app monetization. So they're going to be heavily focused on monetizing the platform beyond just the LLM. They're going to be looking at building apps on top of their own platform and offering that to users. That's where I think they could be the next Stripe, I actually think, right? They could be the next Stripe. Because beyond just getting information for you, having a marketplace where an agent can do something on your behalf, way more valuable than just the execution of a payment for you. Because I think that stuff is highly commoditized. It's easy.
Let's start with this. I want to know more about just your background. Just growing up, where are you from? What was your childhood like? And how did you ultimately end up in the position you're here today?
Sure. So I was born in Nigeria, left Nigeria when I was my dad was an economist, left when I was about 8 years old to go to Scotland where he did his PhD in economics. And we spent about 6 years in Scotland. And when I was about 13, I'm trying to remember the time frame, how old was I? I went to Scotland, 13 or 14. I remember that's when we went to England. So I went to school in England. I did my university study in Queen Mary University of London. My first tech job was for a startup in the oil and gas space, writing software for oil and gas wells, monitoring oil and gas wells remotely. Then I went into banking and started building trading systems and margin management systems and portfolio optimization systems. That was actually while I was in finance, I found out about Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was interesting to me because I saw the amount of wastage we had in finance, where we had front office all the way to back office, right? The amount of systems you need to touch to get any idea of where we are in the world. Like literally, what is a balance of a company? How much risk do I have in a particular position? You needed to touch a ton of systems for that to happen. Even for a trade, it wasn't a single system that processed a trade. There was a numerous amount of systems. So a blockchain seemed to be a good idea because it gave us an idea that just looking at this ledger, I know your exact balance. I know the history. I know I can trust the data. That source of truth was a very, very critical point to me that made me interested in Bitcoin. I started mining it. Of course, I started buying it. I started mining, and I quickly built one of the largest mining companies back in the day. We're about the top point between 13 to 15% of all the Bitcoin hash rate.
Wow.
Figured out that people in China were mining for free because some people had power for free. Somehow I didn't have access to free power. So I started pivoting out of Bitcoin mining. I merged with a company out here in the Bay Area in California, and started using blockchain for deep tech. Fully divested out of that company. Then I went over to Oracle to launch blockchain for Oracle. Then I went to VMware and launched blockchain for VMware. So I've had experience from building a traditional Web3 company or a mining company to go to large organizations to build their own infrastructure to launch blockchain platforms for enterprise. Then I found out about what Facebook were doing. In fact, Facebook stole my best researcher, Dalia Malki. And at that point, I saw what Facebook were doing with Libra, and I was very, very interested. So, lo and behold, I found myself at Meta working with Sam, George, Costas, Evan, who are my co-founders at Miston. We've been working with each other for a ridiculous amount of time at this point in time. Built a lot of trust, but also have a ton of fun building the cool things that we build. Yeah, I don't know. What else do you want to know?
No, it's really good stuff. I'm curious on your thoughts about Libra, because, there was a lot of attention on that, I think, when they first started launching. This was around the pandemic, but it was kind of closing that chapter. You think Mark did everything that he could at that time? You think there was any untapped potential there? It could have been bigger?
So look, the only company I feel that had the balls to launch something like Libra was Facebook. Right, like you got to remember, you already have a great advertising business, and you have this view of where you want the world to go. You want to make sending money as easy as sending a message. That is a great aspirational thing to do. And I don't think anyone like Google or any organization could have set this up and had the balls to follow through with it end to end. So Facebook was a company that took all the bullets for it, but I think their history, of course, with user data and the fact that they're just so large, right? The idea that you wake up in the morning and 2 billion people have a bank account is scary as hell. And I think that not knowing what could happen, what could go wrong, freaked a ton of people out. And the project never got to see the light of day, which is a shame. But while we were at Facebook, just to be clear, like Evan was really the brainchild of all the technical stuff that we're building at Libra. So Evan is our CEO. He's the guy that all the stuff that runs on your phones, right? All the compiler technology that you're using to run your iPhone today was actually something he built while I was at Apple. And if he won an ACM Computer Science Award for doing that. So your phone would not exist if it wasn't for Evan. He was a brainchild behind the Libra research work that we're doing in building an amazing team of technical experts all around the world. We're able to acquire a company in London, which was led by George Denizis, which is also our chief scientist actually now at Miston, to help facilitate the building of all the consensus stuff that we're doing at Libra. Dalia Malki, of course, joined from VMware as well. Costas Chakias, who ran crypto, especially all the crypto we're doing in WhatsApp, especially for payments. He led all that project. So we had Sam Blackshear, who was one of the youngest principal engineers in the history of Facebook. He invented the Move programming language. And this is a guy who was working on languages at Facebook and was brought into this amazing Libra project and saw the design space and realized we can't use traditional programming languages to make this work. We needed something that's way more secure, and we needed a way to make sure this is functional, right? Like we can't say we're bringing on 2 billion people onto the internet to use money like email, but then because of some re-entrancy or some bug in the VM, we can't put a hand in the air and say it's not us, it's a VM, right? We have to be fully fully cognizant of the platform we're executing in. So we invented a programming language called Move while at Facebook. And when we left Facebook together as a team, our goal was to build a coordination layer. Like, we saw that the reason why everything on the internet was a mess is because there wasn't a single protocol that lets apps talk to each other and engage with each other. It doesn't exist. Like today, as I talk to you now, there isn't a single platform that allows one app to talk to another app and respect the boundaries of the information that's passed between them. It doesn't exist. And we thought, if no one's building that, this is what we want to do while we're at Facebook. Why don't we leave Facebook and do just that? So we hired the brightest minds out of Meta that were working already on Libra, and we continued building our Libra vision outside of Facebook. So in fact, some of the projects in the Sui ecosystem are actually ex-Meta people that left Meta to go and build a business on Sui, which is super interesting. The team working on, actually I don't know if I can even mention, Lou and Ade's team, who are working on something really interesting. They're going to be talking about a bit more. Wendy's team on Momentum. Wendy was actually also at Meta with us as well. She's built Momentum Safe, and also Momentum, the DEX as well. So a few other really high levels, really strong engineers, really strong business folks building the Sui ecosystem. So Miston Labs is really a continuation of what we're trying to do at Facebook, at Libra. When we left, we let go of all that code and started from scratch, because when we built Libra, it was not built to be this amazing, highly scalable thing that we wanted to use to coordinate the internet. It was meant to get us to payments, and then we'll innovate from then on. We're already working on Libra V2 while we're at Meta, right? So we tore all those papers up and started from scratch and started doing all the crazy things we wanted to have. If we had, the ability to write our own future and decide what we wanted to build, how would we think about building Libra from zero? That's what Miston is, right? We started from scratch, rewrote what Move, we started using Move in a new way, made it object-oriented so developers can understand it much easier. We made the consensus algorithm way faster. It's horizontally scalable. Sui is the only protocol that if you have more demand, just put more hardware, it scales. No protocol does that in crypto. Every protocol has a max TPS. Every protocol, Solana, Aptos, you name it, they all have a max TPS, and it's some restriction that would relate to the hardware or the messaging protocol that you're using. Sui doesn't have that notion. Sui lets you add more hardware to scale. And the reason for that is when we're building at Facebook, we build with billions of users in mind. We will never get away with building something for a couple of 100,000 users. It will never work. We always have to have a story for, okay, if I had 5 million users, if I had 10 million users, how do we scale this out? So that ideology is ingrown into our company, because people in our company built Spanner at Google, which is a scalable database platform, built Search at Google, built the infrastructure platforms of Facebook, LLVM compiler technologies. Like, it was really the hard problems that needed to be solved. And we felt the crypto space was lacking that level of tech skill. And we saw a massive gap opening for us to go in and actually build that. So yeah, Libra was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. We're able to benefit by taking some of the brightest minds out of Libra from a technical perspective to come into Miston and really continue that vision that we were trying to see at Facebook.
Wow, that's some amazing stuff right there. Let's talk more about just like forward-facing things. I know you've been writing a lot on X. You have a ton of great articles there.
Yeah.
And one of them was just going over all the things you wanted to accomplish in 2025. What do you feel like you have accomplished? What do you feel like is still getting pushed? What do you think, you want to really prioritize? Are you still changing that?
No, so I think our goals are still the same, but I would say it's the driver of all our goals is going to be one thing, and that's developer growth, right? Like, what are we focused on now? We wanted to build out a full stack, because just people are aware, right? Like, this notion that blockchain solves all your problems is just stupid. It is not real. You need a blockchain. You need the ability to store data. You need the ability to put rules around that data. You need the ability to encrypt information and make it available in the future with time capsules. You need the ability to do AI and executions outside of a blockchain. We've got that with Nautilus, right? And Seal for encryption. You need the internet, or the Web 2 stack has a lot of features that developers, when they move from Web 2 to Web 3, need. That's what we're building, right? But all that doesn't matter if you don't have dev growth. And I was mentioning, if you look at the electric capital stats, in the last 2 years, Sui has been the #1 growth chain when it comes to dev count in the industry. And the last year alone, last 12 months, only Sui and Solana have seen an increase in dev growth. Every other ecosystem has seen a reduction in dev growth, including ETH, right? So we're doing something really, really good in terms of seeing a spike in growth in users and having sticky developers. But we won't be doing it all justice if we focus on peeling a dev or two from Solana, a couple of devs from ETH, or a couple of devs from AVAX, that isn't interesting, that's too small. We've built a language that pretty much every Web2 dev should be able to get, and we believe our target audience is the 12 million JavaScript developers that exist today. For comparison, at Facebook, we probably had maybe 30,000 engineers, right? Crypto has about 25 to 30,000 engineers. So I can't go after the number of devs that Facebook has, it's too small. I need to go after the 12 million devs that are already actively building businesses in Web2. So that is the opportunity. So we've got to go beyond crypto to grow the market share. And that's, for me, I think we're the only chain that's well-versed to actually do that. Because a developer is going to come to Web2, to Web3 and say, okay, how do I store my information? Okay, how do I encrypt my information? Okay, how do I do a transaction? All right, okay, how do I do all this at the same time? And how do I do that without having to learn 5 or 6 different stacks?
Right.
Well, with Sui, you just write with a Move smart contract, and it does all that for you. One smart contract can control your storage, your encryption, your AI models, verification, your transactions, all in a single smart contract. You don't have to learn 50 different platforms to make that happen. That is what a coordination layer does. It lets you coordinate all these amazing actions that you want to do in an app in a single platform. It's never been possible to do that in the internet. Neither has it been possible to do that in Web2, in Web3. Because in Web3, if you want to use Arweave, or you want to use Filecoin, or you want to use Solana, then you want to use something else, right? You're using all these stacks and you're using some centralized system to govern it together. They don't talk to each other. Like, Solana has no clue what Arweave is storing. And Arweave has no clue Solana exists, right? Like, the platforms are not designed to interact with each other. But with the Sui stack we've discussed, storage understands execution understands AI, and everything else is really amalgamated into a single platform. So a developer that comes into the Sui stack can build everything they can build. You can build new forms of Airbnb. You can build new forms of email, where if you get spam, you can delete the spam and you get a rebate on the deleted email. Can you imagine being paid to be spammed and you delete the email and you get your money back, right? Like, you can't build that in traditional business, right? So the kind of business models like Alchemy that I mentioned, right? Alchemy has built a decentralized ad tech platform where you can literally farm yield from ads being served from ads. So if I'm a DeFi person and I want to generate yield, I can fund Alchemy in a way whereby I provide funds in a pool, and whatever the ad platform is making from a yield perspective gets passed on to me as a farmer. So new kind of financial markets are now possible using the Sui stack as a whole. When I talk about a Sui stack, I'm talking about Sui, Walrus, Nautilus, Seal, all the things involved, but all run on a single layer.
Well, I'm curious on your thoughts.
Yeah.
What's the solution for interoperability?
So there's a protocol that I just launched on Sui called Ika. So Ika is a protocol that effectively lets you use Move smart contracts to control transactions on any chain you want. So on Sui today with Ika, I can create a Solana, a BTC, an Ethereum address right away. And I can transact within the Sui ecosystem without paying gas on ETH or BTC or whatever I want, but do that directly using Sui. And it can do that without ever needing to bridge funds, which is always a worry that most institutions have with capital. So I believe in interoperability, but I believe that you need to interop. You're right now counting on really centralized mechanisms.
Right.
But now with what Ika has developed on Sui, you effectively are using Sui as a control plane to control any chain you want. I can decide to say, hey, I'm going to mint a coin, 50 million coins of a particular token I'm launching, but I want 20 million of them to go on Solana, 5 million of that to go on Sui, and N number to go on any chain, and be launched at the same time. And not have to manage multiple platforms, just manage it from a single platform at one given time. That world is with us now. So I think the key to Interop is enabling you to do these things, but without having to worry about the infrastructure that comes with it as well.
How do you manage your day-to-day? It's more of a business question. How are you, is there any people in our world right now, the cold plunge was the trend, working out. What's your regimen and what does your day-to-day look like?
So right now I'm trying to do a thing where I run 2 miles a day.
Oh,
so
no.
it's actually up at 6. And actually I woke up at 4 because of the jet lag. It's sheesh. And got to the gym around about 6, did about 20 miles and did an hour session in the gym. That helps me get up in the morning and get me ready, but it's more of a fitness thing I'm working on. I used to do boxing.
Oh.
But I've got to get back into that. My gym is far away from where I live, unfortunately, so I'm trying to find one a bit closer by. So sports is my thing. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I love watching football. I don't call it soccer, sorry, it's football. So it's really, the things that interest me is always going to be related to anything mechanical. So I love cars, watches, anything that a hand is built manually.
Yeah.
I'll spend hours on YouTube watching those videos when I have time in between meetings, right? Or working out or playing football or something like that. In that
Wow.
sense, yeah.
Favorite 3 cars?
Well, brand or model?
Brand and model.
Okay, so my favorite number 1 car in the world is a Daytona SP3, number 1. I think it's the most beautiful car ever made by man. My second favorite car is a McLaren F1. Okay, and I'd have to say my third favorite car is probably the Ferrari V12s. I like the super fast or even the F12. Any of the V12s, I think they do a really good job with that.
Yeah, I heard I think it's a Ferrari 812, right? This V12 in that. Yeah, it's a whole different driving experience.
It's also a death trap if you don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
Too many people crash those things.
What do you think about Porsche?
I think they're a great brand. I don't like their dealers, but I like the brand.
I know, the whole game that they play.
Yeah, I think they all play games, but I think theirs is a bit on a different level. But I love the brand. I mean, they've kept the same ethos for a very long time and continuity. I love the brand. It just wasn't in my top 3, but I've always loved their Carrera GTs. Mm-hmm. I've always loved the 911 Turbo S's. Like, I'm a car guy. I love cars. Like, it's always been in my blood.
Do you track at all?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I wish I could do more. I travel a lot, so I don't get as much opportunity.
Yeah. So I guess like now in your stage of your career, are you traveling every single month? Is it mainly just meetings that you're having? A lot of interviews like this?
So last year, I'd say I traveled almost once a month or twice a month at certain times, right? Like I was always traveling. This year, a bit more intentional about where I travel to, but also the team has been great in making sure I go to the most impactful events. But I do a lot of things remotely. So I'm on interviews every week.
Wow.
I'm recording content every couple of days, right? So we're almost making content at this point in time, right? Because it's the new way to ensure that your messaging is going out. But I'm always talking to institutions, always talking to customers, always talking to my team. Lots of communications happening, async and sync as well. But I travel. I think in September I'm going to be at KBW and also Token. So those will be the marquee events as well. Of course, we had Basecamp earlier in the year, and lots of opportunities to meet people in person. What I love about traveling is actually meeting builders more than anything. I love hearing about what they're working on and what problems they're seeing and how we can solve them.
Man, I got so many questions now that you told me.
Let's go. Yeah.
We're going to be here all day, and we're going to overlap, so I got to restrain myself. But we have a lot in common on the cars, the watches, even the boxing too. There's a sick boxing gym near here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to a gym like 10 minutes away, but they just built this boxing gym. Like it just opened. There was like 14 reviews, but I like drove by and like peeked into it, and it looked sick.
Boxing's the best sport in the world, man. Yeah. Like my chief legal officer, Kevin Boone, he's an amateur boxer. He's really good.
You guys ever duel out any disagreements?
Oh, he's smaller than me. He's smaller than me, but he'll destroy me. He's really, really good. He's really good. I think I'm going to get him to coach me a bit more, actually.
Wow.
But yeah, he's phenomenal.
Okay. We'll save the boxing conversation because I have a coach for that. I really enjoy the sport.
Yeah.
Just what's your thought on content itself? Like how plugged in to the meta of just short form and the evolution of where we're seeing like AI generated content? What are your opinions?
I still think authentic content rules the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like people want to speak to someone or at least learn from someone that's differentiated. So I find that authentic content, things that has your own personality, would generally do better than just something that's fairly robotic and mundane. So that's why I'm always constantly creating content and sharing it on a number of channels that we have. And similar to other co-founders, I'm sure other founders in crypto are likely doing the same. Those tend to do better than just a basic marketing spiel that you get going out, right? That can get very sterile very quickly. So content is king, but in a world where AI is almost ruling everything, I still find that human emotion, human behavior, and the unique capacity you have to represent yourself is still going to come through. And that's still, at least from what I know, AI cannot replicate that at this point in time. Who knows in the future if that changes, but certainly the authentic self matters a lot to your followership.
Right. It's our weaknesses, our problems. I think that's what makes the human side human.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Just the general future of crypto. I'm just curious on your thoughts. Sui, I feel like you guys, number one, you crush on the marketing side. And I know on my end, I have just such solid perspective on what retail is interested in, and they're not interested in tech.
Yeah.
Right? They care just about making money, how well the asset does in price.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be some inception point at some degree in the future, or you think it's just going to be this kind of way?
So if you look at crypto, right, you have the XRP maxis,
right,
and then you'd be arguing, why is everyone buying XRP? right? But they've been able to culminate a group of hardcore, diehard followers for a very long time, and that doesn't seem to change. Similar with Polkadot to a large extent. Like, who's using Polkadot for anything today, right? ICP had its own story, right? Like, there is an element of maxism that happens in crypto, and Sui came in very, very late to the game because we are very, very pure on having the tech speak for itself first and then building the technology around something real. We didn't want a scenario where we market the hell out of vaporware and then spend the rest of our careers trying to make the vaporware real, right? So we've got an advantage, but also a disadvantage. One advantage in the sense that we're truly authentic, and we've actually built something that we believe in. Everything we say about our platform is something that is real. Namely, we are the coordination layer for the internet. Nobody else can do that. We are the platform for data markets for AI. Nobody else can do that. We have the full stack that nobody else can talk to, right? We have a differentiated offering, and we believe that will power the majority of the internet. Like, I actually believe Sui will be a major part of how the internet operates. We're about to launch sometime next year Scion, which is a new internet protocol that really is way more secure than TCP/IP, right? And the entire Sui network will be validated using that network as well. So even when the main TCP/IP network stack is down, Sui will still be running, even without the internet connection as well. So we're very invested in having that stack because we believe that's going to run the majority of the internet. But beyond that as well, we're now to a point where we're very, very focused on community. You see that even having this event for creators, right? It's really, we have a understanding that it's important that we build influence in the ecosystem beyond just the Sui ecosystem. We've got to go where the users are, we've got to go where the retail audience is, and make sure they understand things from our perspective, but also ensure that what we're saying is better translated in a local market or to that audience, because we might come from it from an angle that is deeply technical or deeply business oriented. It needs to be broken down to language that someone on the street can understand. And that's an area I think we should do a better job, and I'm hoping people like you can help us actually solve that problem as well.
Yeah, it's my job. Yeah, I take in all the hard conceptual things that people just will never understand or look into, and I just break it down so that they can.
Yeah, I wish I could do that job, but can't do it all.
Yeah. Okay. I like talking about this because this is the meta outside of all the technicalities of development and all the things that you're in the weeds of. It's just treasury companies, DATs. Yeah. I know you guys had an announcement. There's actually a few companies that added Sui on there. Just curious on what your optics and your perspective on this meta is.
So there are a number of companies. I mean, there are companies who will never be able to buy crypto. Quite flat. It's never going to change, right? The mandate is only to buy equities, and these DATs really offer another means of liquidity or another means of sourcing access to an asset that generically will not be available to a certain number of institutions. So I'm very happy that DATs are launching. I think there'll be more. From what I know, there are more than 12 DATs trying to launch on Sui, actually, right? And you've heard of Liberty City. It's been rebranded, actually, as Sui, what's it called again? I've forgotten.
I don't remember the name.
Okay, we'll scrub that. It's been rebranded. I can't remember what we call it now. Sui.
It was like y'all added like 300 mil of it, right? That one?
No, it's actually almost 500 mil.
Is it 500 mil?
500 mil, yeah. So that's,
you're right. Yeah.
So that's growing, but I think there's going to be way more DATs launching, all with different flavors, trying to solve different problems. But generally, I believe DATs offer a new opportunity for liquidity, or at least new ways for institutions to gain access to an asset that they traditionally might not be regulated to trade or engage with.
Was it Mill City?
Mill City Ventures, MCV.
Yeah.
It's been rebranded to Sui Holdings or something like that.
Yeah, right. Retail calls Sui. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, for once and for all, let's just settle it right away.
What is it?
It is not Sui, okay? Imagine you're pronouncing sweet, okay? Just remember sweet in your head. Sweet, so it's sweet. Sweet, right? Not Sue, it's sweet. If someone should probably get Ronaldo to do an ad for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you guys work with Ronaldo on that?
No, it's such a big missed opportunity. Maybe we should look into it, right? Free marketing.
Okay, there's a ton of different layer ones right now. Obviously, everyone, I mean, I feel like that meta is kind of shifting, but there are still a lot of layer ones. Yeah. What does Sui do in differentiating themselves from all that in a very easy, compact way?
Okay, so Sui is not just a layer one. Sui is a layer for the internet, right? If you imagine what that means, whenever you think about doing something online, whether it's going to a website whether you're browsing a website, whether you're transacting on a website, whether you're sharing your personal information in a secure way on the internet, whether you're storing your video files or storing your media for the future, for your kids to be able to access in the future, whether you're doing any kind of engagement on the internet, SWE will be a part of that. It's beyond just a pure transactional layer. It is more to coordinate what you do on the internet. That has a bigger total value in the long term than just pure transactional layer. So it is a coordination layer for the internet. That is what SWE is. And that is something that we saw while at Facebook was a big, big opportunity. A blockchain, a layer one is easy. It's actually not rocket science to do that. I mean, from our perspective, it's not rocket science to solve. But what you want to be able to solve is marrying what a layer one does with all the things that the internet infrastructure needs. We need a decentralized file storage. We need decentralized rulemaking. We need decentralized encryption and decryption. Like, I can't have a decentralized infrastructure and trust Google to manage my secrets for me. That makes no sense. And then I can't have all this amazing technology and then ask me to use some third party to validate an event that's happened, right? It needs to be all integrated into a single platform. That is what SWE offers you. And it's very unique in that sense.
That's really well said. I like that. That's fire. What's your opinion on the previous administration versus this current administration and how they've been supporting crypto?
Yeah, we've seen a stark shift in crypto narratives, at least the appetite to engage with crypto with this new administration. It's actually been very crypto forward. So as a US company, it was kind of scary under the previous administration to be operating, right? Now with the market structure bill and the new rules around crypto, whether it's a crypto commodity, whether it's a stock, whether it's a bond, like, we're getting more clarity, which is what we've always asked for. I think that clarity helps you to actually plan and build a real business. So I believe with that gone now and the worry of prosecution just by trying to run a business as game changing, not being in the front of your thought process, I can't wait to see the kind of businesses that are going to come in crypto and actually build something interesting.
What would you address your current title right now, just within the organization?
I'm the Chief Product Officer of Miston Labs.
Okay, cool. All right. What's your opinion on this current administration versus the previous administration? How does that impact SWE?
Yeah, I found the previous administration wasn't really open to new ideas, was not really in support of the US's need to really have a say and voice in trying to build a new stack for the internet, right? They were more protectionist in trying to defend the status quo than looking for new opportunities to innovate. And I feel this new administration recognizes the opportunity for crypto to actually be an added value for the US dollar and added value for the US economy, and is investing to making sure the US is number one in that space. And I think that shift has actually caused a lot of positive shifts in other governments as well, where even in Europe, they're looking for crypto forward opportunities. Similarly, you've seen that in Asia as well. So it's been great. I love it. For me, as a US-based founder of a company, not have to worry about jail. It's actually a good part of my lifespan. I keep telling my dad, I don't deal drugs. I'm in crypto. Relax. It's all good. But now, I don't sound I'm not in an illegal business according to my dad anymore now. So,
I love that. What's your Bitcoin price prediction?
In what time frame?
Let's say 2030, and then let's say in the next 20 years from now.
2030, well over $1 million. I don't know what happens after that. I think it's going to be next level banana zone after that. I do think $1 million is inevitable. You only have to look at the amount of buying that you're going to get from every government. It's going to be like an arms race to acquire as much Bitcoin from every central bank in the world, and I think that's going to happen. It's inevitable. We already know central banks that are buying Bitcoin now, right? So I never worry when you look at these price shifts. It shakes out a lot of weak hands. But I think Bitcoin will easily be $1 million in 2030. But if Bitcoin's $1 million in 2030, I wonder where SWE is going to be.
You're going to be positioned still very well.
Very, very well. Yeah, I feel really good about our position.
Okay. What people are interested in most is always just trying to get exposure for upside. And I think that's also the benefit of crypto. You can buy along and invest into people that you believe in and projects that are doing great things. SWE is at a large market cap. Retail often looks for betas or different plays where they can get exposure. What are you super excited on the chain for SWE? What are some of these projects that you might have seen building just as strong and things that you think could do well in the future?
So first and foremost, right, if you think about SWE is still quite early, right? From a journey perspective, there are large swaths of crypto that do not even understand or know that SWE even exists. That for me is alpha right there, right? There's a big opportunity there for us to educate a larger market of crypto participants that SWE is here and here to stay. And we're starting to see that happen actually slowly. Some of the partnerships we're going to be announcing, names that you've heard of before that we've not been able to talk about publicly, are going to really change that narrative. And you see that big business is here on SWE, right? And these people are bringing hundreds of millions of users to Sui. And beyond that as well, I would say look for things that are revenue generating. Like Double Up is probably one of the largest online casinos in crypto, and it's only going to keep growing, where you can be the house. You can actually put money and be the house rather than complaining about the gambling aspect. You can be the house and make the money, or you can actually gamble yourself and make or lose money, whatever you want, right? Separately, you see Bluefin, who's launching a new version to their perps DEX that is giving you 1 millisecond in terms of latency, which is unheard of, using Sui and Nautilus. You can actually get millisecond latency using Sui for the first time. I believe as they grow in liquidity, you'd start to see that as a genuine competitor to Hyperliquid. In fact, the reports I'm hearing from not just like anyone going to the website to trade, but like an institutional player that wants to use the back end to actually set and remove trades, it is a better experience, actually faster than HL at this moment in time. So that is something to look into as well. I love what the guys at Alchemy are doing. Again, as I mentioned, the ad business is a multi-billion dollar industry, and that is real yield. It's not just pure DeFi yield. It's actually money going into ads that's funding what's happening on the internet. You can be part of that ecosystem and actually earn rewards for facilitating early withdrawal for creators. So for a creator right now, let's say I get paid $5,000 a month for displaying ads on my website. I have to wait between 30 and 90 days to get that money. Whereas if I'm using Alchemy, I can get that money instantly, and maybe I'll pay a 3% fee. But that 3% yield ends up going to those who are funding the ad model. So that is a new business that's never been possible before, and that could scale out. These are the opportunities to build these kind of businesses that I don't think you can build on a traditional Web3 platform. There's a new mail client that's coming out where as soon as you send an email and if you receive any spam, deleting the spam gives you money back. A free email client that pays you for removing spam. Have you ever heard of that before? You know what I mean? They don't need to fund the spam fees. It's already done using the L1 because of the way the tokenomics works. And finally, Sui is deflationary. Sui has a fixed supply of 10 billion tokens. And we're already showing that there's a parabolic increase in the amount of tokens being taken out of circulation in Sui. Not only is it a fixed supply, it's actually deflationary. So more and more Sui goes out of circulation as it gets more usage and adoption, which I think is very unique to like a Sol or ETH, where there is pretty much unlimited inflation. So you're not getting inflated in Sui, you're actually getting deflation in Sui.
Oh, good answer. Any question, Andre?
Let's see. Yeah, I'd say what's something that you really believe is like undervalued right now, or a lot of people aren't really paying attention, whether it's technical or a narrative that's forming? What are your eyes on?
I think the biggest thing that people have forgotten or don't know about yet is actually the cross-section of how Sui is going to make AI trustworthy, right? The problem we have right now in the world is the amount of content being generated, right, at a rapid rate, and the ability to actually monetize content is a dispute at this point in time. Cloudflare's business is about, hey, buy Cloudflare credits so you can pay for data behind paywalls. Well, that's not it, right? You really need open protocols to make that happen. We knew this was going to happen from years ago. We knew it's going to be a world where robots clamor the internet for content. It's going to pay on your behalf. Can you imagine if you need to do a review of a document, right? And document is behind a paywall. You can't now swipe out your credit card and pay for that content and then get your LLM to go and read it for you on your behalf. Your LLM is going to need to be able to go to that content, pay for it on your behalf, give you a summary, and then give you some information that you care about. All that stuff is adding a lot of friction. Sui is actually well positioned for that. One, every smart contract on Sui is going to have an ability to be used using natural language, right? So any smart contract on Sui using natural language, you'll be able to interact with it directly. And on top of that, if you want to do payments, if you want to do gating of content using AI, using rules or time capsules or anything complicated, you could do that directly using Sui. That, for me, in a world where the majority of online commerce will be bot-driven, is a world we dominate. Uniquely dominate. I don't think any chain can do that, right? Like, it does not have a structured smart contract language that you can really use AI around. It does not have an object model. It does not have governance models around giving access, removing access to data. It doesn't have the ability to store petabytes of data directly on chain. It doesn't give you the ability to do AI using trusted execution environments. All the stuff that the world really needs for AI to really take off in an automated way. Other chains aren't solving those problems. And you need the Sui stack, what we call the Sui full stack, to make that happen. I think that's where we win. And it's a world where we're already gearing for, and I'm already working with a number of large providers to work on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.